Hey kids, it's Mr. Fly here, hope you're well. Out and about on another bike review. Today I'm on the rather fabulous and beautiful looking Ducati Multistrada 950. This is the baby Multistrada, a bike that I've wanted to ride ever since it was released some time ago, about a year or so ago now. I've never ridden it before, and I'm really pleased to say that this is going to be my next long-term loan bike, but I've literally just picked it up. I'm just in the environs of Silverstone, and so this is my first ride on the bike. So stick around, stay tuned for the next few minutes, and I'll tell you what I think of her. Okay, so it's a long time ago since I rode a Multistrada. It's about 4 or 5 years ago actually, when I was in the market for my adventure bike, and I ended up buying the BMW GS over the Multistrada 1200 because I just felt that the 1200cc bike was a bit too top heavy for me. It was quite tall, and it was quite heavy at the top end. So really keen to see how this compares, it having a slightly different engine in it. This is the 950cc engine, as I say, out of bikes like the Super Sport. It's based on that engine. It's a different version obviously in terms of cams and tuning and so on, and also I think it's in the Hyper Motard. So it doesn't put out anywhere near as much poke as the big 1200cc Multistrada, but the first thing I notice about the bike jumping on is it does feel much more manageable, even though I think geometrically speaking, I think the size wise it's the same size as its big brother, or its big engine brother I should say, but actually it doesn't feel anywhere near as weighty as I remember the 1200 being, which, as I say, felt sort of top heavy. This doesn't feel like that at all. This feels nice and balanced. So pretty pleased to note that this doesn't have that top heaviness, because that was quite a problem. This is the issue when you're not a huge person. Let me just see where I'm going here. Let's go this way. I'm just a sort of a middle-sized bloke, 5'8". Some of the bigger bikes can be a bit of a struggle, it has to be said, and so bikes like this are a bit more ideal for us that are maybe vertically challenged. So well done Ducati for bringing this to the market, I think. So I suppose this is there competing with things like maybe the Triumph Tiger 800, possibly Africa Twin, bikes like that, although this is very much obviously a premium bike, and that's one of the things that strikes me about it. Just as I walked up to it and leapt on it a few minutes ago, it just oozes quality, this machine. It's got your typical Ducati glamour about it. Just because it's the baby Multistrada doesn't make it any less desirable. I think it's a lovely looking machine, and it just, it all oozes quality. The switch gear feels tactile when you use it. It just, the screen is nice and clear. The paintwork is lovely and glossy. I'm not saying other bikes don't do that, but Ducati have just got designed to a T, haven't they? And it just does that so well. This feels like a quality item. So before we get to the nitty gritty and the walk around and the spec of the bike, let's just cover off some of the practical aspects. First of all, seating position. Well, I have to say the seating position is absolutely lovely. It's comfortable as you like, nice wide handlebars. My legs are tucked up relatively high. My knees are at a sort of an acute angle. Feels sort of sporty from the waist down, if you like, but comfortable from the waist up. I'm sitting nice and upright. So quite a big screen on here that seems to be doing a good job of keeping the wind off me. I haven't got any of that turbulent, dirty air coming off. I'm wearing my Array X4, which is one of these peaked adventure type helmets at the moment, and sometimes you can get a little bit of vibration and turbulence on the front peak, but on this bike I'm not getting that. The air, if I feel where the dirty air is coming, is being thrown way over my head. I'm not sure if this is on the uppermost setting of the screen, I'll check that later, but you can adjust this screen by gripping this here and moving it around. But as I say, it feels pretty good to me. The screen is standard. While we're on the whole comfort thing, the seat, okay, I've only been riding it for 15 minutes at this point, but the seat feels nice and comfy. It's got the potential, I think, to be quite hard, but it doesn't strike me as an uncomfortable place to be. I'm glad to say this is my long-term loan now. I'm going to be riding this for the next few weeks as if it's my own, so hopefully I'll be doing some longer trips, and I'll be able to understand better than how the seat holds up when you're on it for a few hours, but certainly so far she feels very comfortable. Mirrors on it work really nicely. There are huge mirrors on here, and really do give you an excellent view behind, which is always a good thing for a mirror. Lovely note to the engine. The It's got the classic Ducati grunty sound, which I love. Yeah, it feels, I was going to say it feels very familiar to ride. I don't know why it would be like that, because as I say, it's been a long time since I rode a Multistrada. But having ridden a lot of big adventure bikes recently, this one just feels really easy to ride. I like it a lot. So slow speed stuff like this in town, absolutely easy as you like. The big old handlebars give you great leverage. No problem at all. The slow speed stuff, the throttle's not snatchy or anything like that. Really nice. I mean, Ducatis have years ago, 10 years ago, Ducatis had that reputation, didn't they, of being awkward to ride in traffic or at slow speed. They'd be, you know, bumping and grinding at this sort of speed. But this is just lovely. They've worked some magic on their engines, and this is as smooth as you like at slow speeds. Love it. So it sounds absolutely beautiful when you wind the throttle on. I'll wait to get on some more open roads to explore that a bit more. But I read a few reviews before I got the bike that said that they thought it was unexciting and a bit sluggish. Well, I'm quite the opposite. I mean, I'm not a mightily fast rider. I'm not a huge track day fan. I mean, I do the odd track day, but it's not the main reason why I like bikes. And so maybe my expectations are lower. But you know, I have got a Ducati Panigale. I know what a fast bike is like to ride, and this one doesn't feel like a slow one. I have to say, to me, it feels like it's got ample power. I recently did a little experiment riding various bikes and trying to work out for me what was the minimum displacement bike that I thought was practical in the real world for doing sort of everyday riding on. And I came to the conclusion that the minimum really that's practical these days is a 300cc motorcycle. So anything above that is just surplus to requirement and fun. So this being a 950, it's got ample power, it really has. Right, just going to test the brakes as I come up here. Oh, the front brake is excellent. Good to see the vans are out in force. Let's just try the back brake. Ooh, back brake, not so good, but let's face it, back brakes often aren't so good. And the pedal for the back brake is a little bit adjusted, a little bit low for my taste, and you're a little bit pigeon-toed getting at it. Now, not a big deal, let's face it. You don't need to use the back brake very often, bikes, do you? But occasionally you do, and it's just a matter of getting used to where it is. But that feels like a bit of a reach to me to get to the back brake pedal. Not a biggie, as I say, but just something I've observed. Handling on this is just beautiful. It certainly feels light and flickable. It's like you're slaloming down a ski slope. Really nice. I mean, compared to some of the competition that I mentioned, this is, you know, a more expensive bike. I think, and I'll check this there, I think just shy of £11,000 if you buy one of these. So maybe a grand or two more than the competition, but you're definitely getting top quality motorcycle for that extra money. Right, let's just take the van while I've got the chance. Now, it made short shrift of overtaking that bit of traffic then. There is absolutely no lack of horsepower and go on this bike. Very nice. Sounds lovely as well when you wind it on. Gearbox is nice and slick, as you'd expect from a brand new bike, or what appears to be a brand new bike to me. Well, I think this one's done about 3,200 miles, so it's not actually brand new. It certainly feels as good as new, which is testament to its build quality. One thing I'm not so keen on, when you go over bumpy terrain on this display, although it's very, very clear, is appears to be mounted on some rubber bungs. Look, you can move it around. See that? And it's a little bit vibraty. If you're going over really bumpy terrain, I mean, I'm not particularly at the moment, you probably won't even see it on the GoPro, but if you're over sort of high frequency vibrations, a little bit like I am now, it vibrates quite a lot. I can still read it, so it doesn't actually matter. It's just unusual. You don't often see you know, vibrating instruments, do you? Right, let's find an opportunity to overtake this Skoda. Nothing happening behind me. Always a solid white line when you don't want one. It's a shame because this is a lovely bit of road actually. There's great twists and turns on here. And if you do get it free of traffic, It's a lovely bit of riding. Nothing difficult about riding this bike at all. The handling is lovely. Feels nice and balanced. Right opportunity. And a little bit of air over the hump there, just to add to the fun. Suspension is nice on this. It's not so soft that you can't feel what it's doing. You know, you can feel the grip on the tyres, you can feel it digging in on the corners. Yet it's not so harsh that it's uncomfortable. We've got the balance just right on that. I mean, one of the things that the Big Brother Multistrada has over this is things like the fancy suspension, the skyhook suspension, and you know, just generally more fancy componentry, big Brembo brakes, that sort of thing. But frankly, for everyday riding, or riders like me with an insensitive backside, I'm not sure I can tell the difference with those things anyway. This just feels lovely. Okay, let's turn off here then, see if I can find a half decent spot to show you around the bike and talk you through the spec in the usual way. I was a bit frightened coming into laybys for obvious reasons. Right, let's just stick it here. I think will be as good a spot as anywhere. Okay, in terms of getting my feet down while I'm stopped here, I'm on the balls of my feet at the moment, but the ground sort of falls away here a bit. I think on flat ground I'll be flat or flatter on there, because I'm almost flat on the right hand side. So seat height wise, quite nipped in here. It works alright for me at 5'8", but we'll talk more about seat height in a minute. Okay, stand. Here we go. Okay, actually, yeah, the ground is a bit more sloped there than I anticipated. So here we are, the Multistrada 950. What a handsome looking bike. I think, to my eyes at least, out of all the adventure bikes that you can buy, Ducati have absolutely got this nailed. I just think that is the best looking of all the big adventures, but there we go. Alright then, in the usual way, let me get the other camera out on the phone, and I'll talk you through the spec and show you around the bike. Okay, get her in focus. Okay, hopefully that's nice and in focus. So yeah, as I say, I think for my money, one of the best looking adventure bikes that money can buy. Size wise, as I say, actually it's the same dimensionally as its big brother, the 1200cc machine. I don't know, car coming down here, could get killed now. So it's no smaller in that respect, so you've got great road presence on it. I think she looks absolutely beautiful. And let's just show you some of the close-up details. So indicators in the handguards, which I really like. Switch gear on here, although it is the PCB type, it's actually very tactile. This all feels very nice when you actually use it. It's got a positive feel about it, you know when you're using it. Same on that side. And the display, as I said, works very well. Just an LCD monochrome one here. Panniers on this look lovely. They've designed those in well and seem to be quite easy to get on and off, I'm pleased to say, but I'll learn about that as I get to know the bike over the next few weeks. And yeah, nice looking machine. Okay, so to the spec then. I've been saying it's a 950cc, although it's called the Multistrada 950, it's actually 937cc, the engine. It's the Testastretta L twin, Testastretta 2 it says here, and as I mentioned, it's the same or a similar engine to the one used in the Supersport and the Hypermotard. Puts out 83 kilowatts of power, or in the old money 113 HP at 9,000 RPM, which is, I think, absolutely ample, although as I say, it has been criticised for not having a lot of power, but I think it's absolutely fine in the real world anyway. Torque 96 newton meters or 71 foot-pounds at 7,750 RPM. Wheels on the front, we've got a 19 incher, and actually this has got good Brembo brakes on. That explains why they were so good on the front, and again on the back, which is a 17 inch wheel, we've got a little Brembo caliper on there as well, very nice. Suspension front, it's got KYB upside down forks. Let's have a little look at those. They look pretty substantial to me. They're 48mm in diameter, and on the back we've got fully adjustable Sachs monoshock. I can see maybe around the other side. Let's have a look around the other side. Actually, I haven't parked this in a great spot after all of her. Oh, climb through the undergrowth. There we go. You can see the spring there on the other side. Seat height 840mm on this, so fairly high. You can get an accessory seat that goes between 820 and 860mm, so if seat height's an issue to you, you can get that changed with the accessory seat. Quite a narrow waist there, so works for me at 5'8". Weight of the bike 206 kilograms dry, so not heavy for a bike of this type. Tank capacity, lovely looking tank, takes 20 litres, so not huge but not small either. Perfectly adequate, I would think. Electronics wise, this is where it's not quite so well equipped as its bigger engined brother. It's got ABS, it's got the monochrome LCD screen, 4 riding modes: sports, urban, touring and enduro. It's got Ducati traction control, of course, and of course it's got that ride-wire throttle that seems very sorted to me. Price wise, just shy of 11 grand at 10,995 in the UK, and you can personalise it via various things. There's a touring pack, sports, urban and enduro packs. Alrighty, there we go. So I guess competitor wise, I mentioned the Africa Twin and the Tiger 800. I suppose also things like the KTM 1090 would maybe be a more logical competitor in a more sort of premium bracket perhaps. Okay, that's about it for the walk round then. Let's jump back on, ride us some more. Right, and I've got this on this fairly extreme angle, so I was going to take, in fact, I'll wheel it forward a bit. Might be easier. I think that'll work. Great grab handles on the back here actually for moving her around, which is rather nice. Alright, that's better. Okie dokie. It was just on that angle where it's just a bit hard to lift up. I didn't want to risk any trickiness given it's not my bike. Okay, she certainly sounds the biz. Nothing behind. Oh, let's just try this screen. Oh, there we go. It wasn't on the fully up. Now it is. Let's try it like that for a bit. See how we get on. I think that was on the fully down. It was working really well. Actually, oddly, with the screen in the fully up position, I'm now feeling a bit of vibration on the peak of my helmet. It's funny how that happens, isn't it? Sometimes. Let's just move that down again. I love that adjustment on there. That is so easy to use when you're on the fly. That's probably the easiest adjustment of any screen I've come across yet. I like that. And actually that's in the fully down position. It looks better when it's fully down, and actually I think it does a better job of giving you a clean airflow. It's funny, isn't it? You get once you've ridden a few different bikes, you can pretty quickly know whether you're going to get on with the bike or not, whether you're going to like a bike or not. And I knew within 5 minutes of riding this that I was going to love this. It so elevated the Multistrada in my expectations because, as I say, having ridden the older version, which I found very top heavy, I sort of squared it away as not the bike for me. But actually this 950 version, or 937cc I should say, really is a lovely thing to ride. The display on here, nice and clear, if you have a look here. Got everything you need. It's got gear position indicator on the right, decent fuel gauge, I'm glad to say, speed in the middle, outside air temperature, and then these windows here you've got all your usual trips that you can flick through using this button here on the left. Just move that up and down, takes you through all the usual trip stuff, and that's basically it, which is fine. Nice and easy to use, nothing too complicated. The riding modes on this, however, I would say isn't it's not great the way that Ducati have implemented those. They've done the same things they've done on a few bikes. It's a bit like this on my Panigale, my 899, in that you change the modes using a combination of pressing the indicator switch and then the up and down switch. So the modes are shown here. Look, I'm in sport mode at the moment, and if I press and hold the indicator switch, see that it shows me all the modes here. I can move up and down them using that left hand button and select which mode I want. I'm going to leave it in sport for now though. And once you know how to do it, that's fine, but I just find it a little bit annoying that every time you cancel the indicator, and I do that a lot because I've got a habit of pressing the indicator to make sure it's cancelled, you bring up all the modes. So, you know, if I was to OCDIze the indicator button now, I press it to cancel it, and suddenly all the modes are up there flashing again. I mean, it's my problem, not the bike's, but it's just something that I've noticed. Well, what a brilliant road this A413 is. Loving that, very nice. So to summarise then, my first impressions of the Ducati 950 Multistrada, well, you will have gathered I really like this bike. It's a lovely machine. Handling is beautiful on it. Everything about it just works. The gearbox is nice, the brakes work well, the screen works well, which is unusual for a bike at this type. You wouldn't have to do an aftermarket move on this, you can just leave it with that. The mirrors are great, it's comfortable. Although I thought the seat might turn out to be hard, I've been riding the bike for 3/4 of an hour or so now. It's comfortable as when I initially got on it. Very nice indeed. It's got plenty of power, and the bike absolutely looks lovely. I'm really looking forward to getting to know it better over the next few weeks. So if you want to know more about this bike, stay tuned to the channel, and I'll tell you more as I learn more. I'll investigate, things like how the panniers work and what it's like to ride in the rain, and how the lights work at night, all that sort of stuff. So stay tuned for that. And in the meantime, I'm going to be riding the pants off this thing and getting to properly understand what the bike is about. Okay, so if that's the first time you've seen one of my videos, thanks very much for watching the video all the way to the end. I do videos every Monday, Wednesday and Friday, or I try to. Sometimes I do them a little bit more often, depending on how much is going on. And I don't just do bike reviews, but I also do product reviews, I do trips and tours, I do maintenance tips and tricks, techniques in the garage, that sort of thing. Anything and everything to do with motorbikes, you name it, I try and cover it if I possibly can. And if you hit the subscribe button, it would be fantastic to have you along again. And by doing that, I'll make sure you won't miss any of the other videos. So thanks very much for that. Okay, I hope this initial review of the Ducati Multistrada 950 has been of some interest to you, and I look forward to speaking to you next time. Until then, this has been the Mr. Flyer. Cheerio.